Hey everyone, this is Paul from Xfinity Solution. Today we have Mr. George Bilal Powdrill with us. He is the founder and senior strategist of Ibrand Group, and he is also a co-founder and chief operating officer at Safer PPE Supply Company. So welcome, George, to this interview, and I would like to thank you for your time. So, George, if you can just go ahead and tell something about yourself and your company a bit, please.
Yes, thank you. First of all, yes, thank you so much for providing me the opportunity to engage you and our listeners out there. My name is George Bilal Powdrill. I am the founder and senior strategist with the iBrain Group. I am also too the COO of an in-house brand that we had built, trying to provide supply chain optimization for PPE supplies and essentials. And the name of that brand is Safer PPE Supply Company. And a little bit about me, really simple and basic. I have a pretty sound career in operations management, 26 years, working for a few of the largest banks in the world on the both retail and wholesale operational side of the business. And that's generally my background. I took that skill set and wanted to take it independent to where I could have a little bit of a deeper reach, meaning that I can my talents and skill set would be able to help the common person, which is the small to medium-sized business owner. And that's just a little bit about me. Now, the agency is in an interesting position now from when we started back in 2012. 2012, we were, primarily a consultancy, taking a look at solving problems with, recruiting, hiring, retention, operations, strategy, and management, financial operations, strategy and management as well. That's how we first started. So the first couple of years, it was about building a client base, around that model. But with the advent of app technology, IT, to make it a little bit short, it gave us a little bit more flexibility and made us nimble as business owners, to be able to communicate our messages, our brand messages, to be able to logistically produce and deliver goods and services. So technology's been a major change, which caused us to pivot a little bit. And so we stepped back from really going after clients as aggressively as we were, and more so invested more time and resources into our relationships with people that had particular skill sets, especially in IT. I would say that piece was a cornerstone to the increase of what we saw back in 2015 with entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs. And so with that being said, we really focused in on building teams. It was all about people first. I can only deliver, a deliverable, a high-end deliverable, with having the best team and the best talent, and the best specialist. And that's what we pride ourselves on now, not so much as client acquisition, but more so as skills acquisition. I consider myself a skill collector. And that's about what my story is. It's been a short, quick run. Seems a little longer just because of the major pivots. And we'll talk about pivot as we get deeper into the challenge with COVID. But that's pretty much my story.
Oh, that's great to know, George. There's a lot of things we've learned from your introduction, and I'm looking forward to learn more on this once we'll go ahead with the interview. So a little bit about myself. My name is Paul, as you can as I've already told you. I'm a program manager of Xfinity Solution. Xfinity Solution is been operational for last 3 years. We have started operating in 2017, and since then we have been providing IT and ITS services along with virtualization services to US and Canadian clients exclusively. And a little bit about the now. Let's come to the objective of this survey. As you as we I've already told you that we have been interviewing business owners and executives to understand how through their leadership skill they're combating this situation. Right, we are going through a doldrum sort of a situation right now, economically, financially, emotionally, everywhere. So we need to understand how the business owners, in particular, or executives, are combating this situation, and through their leadership skills, and what are the strategies which the business houses and government should implement to come out of this economic downturn. So I will try to understand that from you as well. So what's your take on this? So we have been getting stupendous response from several brands and corporates, and we are looking forward to learn more about this on from you as well. So if you're ready, I'll start asking you the survey questions.
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, George. So my first question would be to you. Have you ever faced any such time as this before?
Interesting question. Yes, I think the closest thing that has come to this in terms of scope and weight of the challenge, I would have to go back to 2002, 2008 with the mortgage-backed security crisis that we faced, right, in banking, right, Wall Street, right,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that was my world. You know, my world pretty much
yeah.
came to a complete
You're
halt
in the
and
banking.
stop.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I would say that would probably be the closest thing that in terms of yeah, challenge me, the weight of it and the overall scope of it, the effect of it. Um, that's probably the closest thing that I can think of.
All right. All right. Yeah. So yeah, like obviously that time during this mortgage thing, it was really bad, and the whole world has affected from this, similar to this COVID situation. But in COVID situation, there are some companies who have actually gained, but then during that time, everybody lost. I mean, there was
Yes.
really economically it was really bad, even though physically it was not that impacted, but then economically, yes, it was really bad. So my next question would be to you, is your business seriously affected by this?
Yes. Um, our business was affected probably fivefold. If I were to compare it to a business owner that owns only one particular business, right? So at many times at any period in each year, we become almost co-owners of our partners businesses, right? So
Yeah.
taking on that challenge, and to give you a more of a personal example of this, prior to COVID, you know, really taking its grip and its toll, we moved into 2020 carrying a client load of five. It was basically, you know, four with one that was onboarding, and so when that crisis hit, it affected all five of those businesses. So all five of those businesses be affected had a five-time effect on our business model. So yes, I would have to say, yeah, I was yeah, gravely impacted by it.
So how did you deal with that?
Yeah, great question. Well, the first thing that we had to come to grips with was time. It's one of the factors that a lot of entrepreneurs overlook in terms of measuring it, you know, being honest in their measurement with time. So we gave ourselves 72 hours to
All
figure it
right.
out, how to make a pivot, right? Because this pivot not only had to do with what we were going to do as an agency, but what our approach moving forward was going to be with our clients. You know, if we are considering ourselves thought leaders, which, you know, we all do, how can we be a leader in blind spots that COVID had created for us? Um, so we wanted to take the position of figuring out for ourselves first, because we know that once we dialed into the strategy and tactics to making the pivot, we would be able to take some clients with us in terms of how we're moving. It may have a positive impact on how they were moving, and it turned out to work out okay. But with that being said, I learned the value of time. 72 hours was the time that we had to make this pivot properly. Otherwise, we'd be in a position that I see a lot of my partners out there, friends, family that own businesses that weren't as nimble or didn't have the opportunity or the knowledge base to be able to make that pivot in such a short period of time.
All right. So utilizing time and making a pivot is very important, and how quickly you take the decision is also very important. And yeah, time plays an important role, obviously.
Yes.
It was really testing time for all of us, and obviously we know how, if whoever knows how to pivot, so they have actually sustained. All right. So my next question would be to you. See, we have challenges always, right? Always. I mean, since you've got into this corporate world, you've been facing challenges, but this time we are
Yes.
having some sort of different challenges, which is new to us. So do you see challenges in the future, and how are you prepared for that? There are challenges, for those challenges.
Yes. Another good question. I do foresee continual challenges, and let me be a little bit more clear about that. Now, that doesn't mean to say that I'm not positive about the future. I think one of, based on my understanding of some of the data that we're looking at, um, business owners are having their most difficult time. You would think it was financial, but the most difficult time that they're having right now is mental. They're having a hard time getting their mind around projecting COVID out 18 months to 2 years, meaning that the pivot has got to be so swift and so broad, right? And the scope has to go over what we believe to be as an 18-month to 2-year period. Now, that in itself is a sell to a lot of business owners that, number one, may think that COVID's going to go away in a few weeks. Um, Other business owners feel that it's an unnecessary sort of rumor that's going around that's causing their client base to fall off. And then another one that just hasn't taken the time, as we did as a group, to really evaluate and look at the data and the numbers of what's actually going on here, right? In order to be able to see opportunity. So for example, if I were to go back to 2008, or let's say 2007, then I probably would have maybe have gone back and made the decision to hedge my bets and a bet against the market by pulling out assets from, real property assets, right? If we would have foresaw it. Same thing here. We could foresee it now. And even if we can't foresee it, let's just say, for example, I'm wrong. This thing is cleaned up and finished in the next 6 weeks or so. That's fine. That's great. That would be awesome. I would love that. But what happens if this thing becomes 2 years, 3 years to 5 years, right? This is what we are gambling. We'll call it gambling on the fact that on a 2-year fact, right? Based on the data only, right? We're a data-driven business. So they're projecting 2 years. The numbers are projecting 2 years. I believe that it's longer. It's going to be a little bit longer than that to completely recover, because it's also too a psychological recover, right? COVID can be gone, but people are, oh, maybe it's still here. You're going to have those people that are gun shy. I know at least my wife will be, in terms of how she's got her schedule planned out to go to grocery stores and to Target and to Walmart and do those type of things, right? She doesn't take as many trips to those places as she used to. And so we're projecting that type of behavior out about 2 years. So to be able to convince your everyday average, small business person, medium-sized business owner, it's very difficult. That's the biggest challenge that we have. But once we overcome that challenge, then that's when our expertise comes into play in terms of strategy and tactics taken to make the necessary adjustments and pivot.
So, all right. So I've understood about the challenges, and you're preparing. Say you're not seeing that it is going to go away in 6 months or 6 weeks. If it goes away, obviously it is good for us. But you are prepared for next 2 years. So you're saying that next 2 years is going to be very difficult for us, and you have to be prepared for that. That's
Yes, and
really
I and
that's
I, and I yes, and I think it's even deeper than that. I want to expound on this because this 2-year thing is really important, and let me tell you why. If you look at any type of let's say any type of business model that requires administrative and sales teams, generally those individuals are used to working in close proximity within a building, right? Which the communication structure is completely different than what they're being faced with now through COVID, because now they are working remote, right? And now they can't reach over that cubicle. They can't walk around the corner, to their mentor and have a discussion, right? And so now all of our serviceables have slowed down completely, because although we've got great professionals out there, most professionals have not been trained and do not have the special skill set to work 100% remote. And so we were starting to see some of this take effect. I mean, just the psychological part of being at home, right? For someone who's used to going to a working location, and what type of wear and tear is that on the employee that's not used to managing their lives like that. So we're seeing some things that that we probably weren't expecting, but these are the things that we are projecting, right? Are our teams that were in retail locations, right, or building locations, are they at the same level of production, communication? Are we giving a finished service and product at the same level that we would while they're working remote? And this is where we're seeing a fall off in those particular areas. So we believe that there's great opportunity to improve on a skill set there, and I think that's something that that's definitely something that we've been discussing heavily.
all right. Yeah, that is a very important learning from you, and we need to know how to live alternative way. So we have to find the alternative way. That's really important. So my next question would be to you. It's not a question, rather it's like more like a statement, and probably we have already you've already talked about it a little bit. So uh, do you really think that IT or IT related industries, whoever is providing our IT and IT related service providers, have somehow managed to sustain this pandemic?
Good question. I would say yes. I would say in a very aggressive yes. I think the IT world has done a great job in terms of making the pivot prior to COVID to remote teams. So remote teams have become the new way of business, so to speak, and IT, I believe, have been the leaders in regards to that. And that's why I believe when COVID first hit, companies like Amazon and Salesforce, I think it was Google as well, they just said, stay home as long as you want, because they were already built for it. They already had a model. They had the great training support. Um, they were prepared. They had already scaled that model prior to the need of having to scale that model. So I would say yes, a strong yes.
Of course, yeah. So everyone knows the IT and IT related connected industries are doing really great, during this time. And like we are living on a Zoom society where you're in different part of the world, I'm different part in the different part of the, we are still meeting, and we are doing a lot of things, and IT is continuously doing a lot of research to make our life a little easier during this testing time. So my next question would be to you. It's more like a more on a macro level question. So how do you see the economy in the near future, economy in the United States? So election coming up, and this economic downturn is going on. So how do you predict the economy as a whole of United States of America in near future?
I see some positive outlook there. I think the key to this is it's going to come down to the worker being able to optimize our workforces, um, integrating IT and supplying and helping workers, first of all, stay safe and healthy, but also to improving communication skills. I think if we're able to do that at all levels, I see some positive outlook, but it does come down to workers and being able to keep these jobs in place. I think will be a critical factor. Um, and this is why we're having this discussion now as business leaders or thought leaders, advisors, et cetera, how well we're doing our job to help the small business owners navigate and pivot through this challenge.
Yes, all
If we're
right.
able to do that at a high level, I see some good things. And there's models out there. I believe some of the bigger ones, happen to be in the IT space. I think Amazon is one, that I'm kind of fond of right now, just in terms of their response to this. So logistically, one of their responses was the development of Amazon Prime Air, which is drone technology, right? Improving logistics, right? Um, Outstanding, and I salute them on that. We're even looking at some of those technologies in terms of how efficient can we deliver that product to an end user, to business owners, to help with logistics. As a matter of fact, I took a look at a case study out of Austin, Texas, with a cannabis CBD company that uses drone technology for delivery. So I believe there are about 25% of their deliveries are being delivered with drones. So I believe that's a great one. Safe, right? More efficient. Away, and it's having an impact. And I think we need more of that. And with that being said, yeah, I do see a positive light, but it's really important that we all respond right now. So time is of the essence.
Yeah, that is very important. Growing together and taking care of each others is very important this time. And as you already told, that big business owners should take care of the small business owners, and we should encourage consumer spending. That is very important. So that's really great insight from you as well. So my next question would be to you, or it is like a like more sort of a knowledge from you. So how your company, Ibrand, or the other one which you are just introduced, that you said, the safer PPE, is helping their customer during this testing time? And if you can just tell my viewers in what are the areas you can help them during this time, that will be really great.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's a very challenging question, but I think it's probably the number one most important question, right? Um, I don't really look at it as a customer. We're just all people here, right? We're all just human beings trying to um, make a living, and survive and provide for our, family, right? I see it that way because I think we have to come back to communicating on a level of I would say communicating on an organic level, making sure that we are aware of the actual data and research that's out there. Also, too, investing and more time in terms of looking for ideas that solve problems, but also to make people's lives a little bit more simpler. And I'll give you an example of this. Right now, we're doing product development with hand sanitizers, right? And so, I'm doing market research and, just typical market research. But then, as I'm, on my computer reading through, all of this data, I look up on the counter at my house and I see hand sanitizer, or a couple of masks or what have you, my son's backpack and some things. And I thought about this and I said, hey, why not make this a little bit simpler for moms in terms of PPE rather than, putting together individual packages, masks versus hand sanitizers? Why not make a little emergency kit? So we have an emergency kit where we have a mask, some hand sanitizer, some wet wipes, and then a disposable bag, right? So just thinking about just common, people, like my wife, and her everyday challenges of navigating through COVID, trying to keep my son safe. And so that's one of the, the products that we're developing now. And I think what this truly is about, it's about us having realistic conversations. Because I think if we all have realistic conversations, if I'm having realistic conversations with my client, if I'm telling him it's a 2-year thing and he believes it's a 2-month thing, then I put together a 2-month plan for him with all of the discussions and all of the rate of return on making my 2-year plan and the multiple pivots made. And usually, I'm able to have hold on to that conversation, meaning I'm able to hold their attention, and the conversation generally moves forward, right? Because if we really think about what this thing is, we are really being challenged in terms of our ability to innovate right now, right? So walking away from the nostalgia of how we did things of yesteryear and moving into a new world, right, where we are going to be innovators and creators, right? And using that creativity and the innovation abilities to be able to solve common people problems through COVID.
All right, all right. So we have learned a lot from you about your company, and I'm going to share George's contact details. And if you are interested, you can always reach out to him about the PP kit, or the sort of kit which he has, and definitely is going to help you. Uh, and that's it. So my next question, or rather, it's not a question again; it's a statement, or it's kind of a study which we did,
Mm-hmm.
because we are working with a virtual assistant space. So we did a study during this testing time, and a study says that keeping a remote executive assistance or a virtual assistant during this testing time can save your time and money, and can help you grow your business faster than ever. It is like hiring a team at a price of a fractional employee. So do you agree on this, and what's your take on this?
No, yes, I think that virtual assistants, I can't begin to explain how valuable they are. It sort of ties back to what I had mentioned earlier in the discussion about skill set, where virtual assistants have been trained to work virtually, right? To be in remote environments. And those environments change, right? Sounds change. They could be changed in geographic locations. But the true skill set is to be able to live that working lifestyle. Most employees and even employers do not live that lifestyle, but are now forced to live it. And that's one of the things that are the more difficult things to overcome. And that's what makes your platform great, because now even like I have an option to choose whether or not to apply that skill set or reach out to you and partner with you and allow your human resources to help support us and our clients in terms of that particular skill set.
All right, yeah, that's really important. It's really important, and especially during this testing time, keeping a virtual assistant is really important. It is proven to be a great option for a lot of business houses. They have opt for virtual assistants because anyway they are working virtually these days, and opting for virtual assistant has actually saved their money and time, and they can focus more on their uh, core business thing, and we can take care of the back end. So that's great, great learning anyway. And thank you for George, for your time. This was really insightful and educative, and I'm
No,
sure you're,
absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. I
yeah,
appreciate the time and the platform.
yeah, sure, because your views will really add a lot of values to our survey. And we are going to run this survey for about next 2 weeks to 1 month, and once that is over, I'm going to share the survey report with you, where you will know what other business owners are thinking about the same questions or about the situation, and how they are combating with this situation. And it is kind of a learning from each other, which is very important during this time, what I believe. So
I
it
agree.
was really nice talking to you, and I wish you a wonderful rest of your day.
Oh,
Bye bye.
thank you. It was yeah, my pleasure. And yeah, thank you everybody for yeah, for the opportunity and your ear. You guys have a great day.
All the best. Bye.